So, speaking about freedom, what if instead of grinding every day for small sales, you could just make one or two and be all set for the entire month? And while doing that, actually enjoy it. And that's what I mean when I talk about creating business for freedom. And if you haven't been on my show, welcome to the new episode on From Grind to Grace for the podcast for the alternative entrepreneur, the entrepreneur who is ready to flip the script, challenge the norm, and choose freedom first. When freedom is not just a destination, when freedom is the path, because when you start creating your business from the place of freedom, success just tags along for the ride. And the mission is to make this the norm in our industry, the default. So let's do it for you, for your children, and for humanity. Now, the big question is, though, how do we do it? And the answer and the stuff that I'm unpacking on this podcast is twofold. One side of things is being the person who can step into freedom and create from it. The other side is the actual strategies. And I assume that this episode might be one of the most strategic, well, we'll see, but maybe one of the most strategic, tactical episodes so far. And that's because we are going to talk about, well, at least for the big part, about high ticket offers, because I have a very special guest on this episode, and her name is Kristin. And Kristin used to be burned out, overlooked, and undervalued. She was constantly chasing shiny objects, yet never felt fulfilled. How many of you know what I'm talking about? All that changed, though, when she turned what happened to her into what happened for her and started living a life of purpose, joy, and fulfillment. Called by major industry leaders as they say, yes, queen, Kristin is a two-time award-winning entrepreneur and best-selling author who has spoken on stages with the likes of Eileen Wilder. When you listen to her teach, you will immediately recognize that she is one of the most masterful communicators and teachers you have ever heard. If you are ready to have more impact, more income, and most of all, more fun, like I mentioned at the start, you need to listen up. So, very welcome on my show, Kristin. So happy to have you here.
I am so honored to be here. Thank you so much. I really think grinding, I mean, I've got stories for days about when I was hustle and grind, hustle and grind, hustle and grind, and then how, and we can talk about it, but I've entered into my rest and restore phase, this freedom stage of my life, this season, and why now I can never go back. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm sensing that this is going to be very interesting and on point. By the way, there is a reason why we are going to talk about high ticket and maybe a little more than that. We'll see how it goes. But then when it comes to creating from freedom, from the place of freedom and exiting the grind, how high ticket stuff relate to all of that in your mind?
Well, in my mind, the thing is, high ticket is the key to it all because it isn't about working harder, and that is the grind, and that is what so many of us know. It's either how we were raised, it's how we think, it's maybe how we climbed the corporate ladder, maybe it's how we got ahead, maybe it's how we watched our parents as entrepreneurs. I was just with my best friend, and she has the work ethic of her father, and it's not always the good because they just work and work and work and work and work on vacation. But
Mhm.
more about why high ticket helps you work higher, helps you work smarter. It is, you said in the introduction, it's like you need one, depending on your system, depending on your tool, depending on what you're selling, how you're serving. You might need one client for a year. You might need one client for the month. So it's about serving them at a higher level because you've chosen to step it up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, so I'm wondering how many of you would like to just make one sale a year? Now, the question is what that sale needs to be. So, Kristen, tell me, what kind of high ticket are you talking about?
Well, right. So there's a million ways to skin the cat. I don't like that analogy. I have already said it. I've already said it, but there's a million ways, and there's tons of mentors out there with really great advice, and mine included, Eileen Wilder. But Russell Brunson teaches it, Myron Golden teaches it, and like lots of people on the internet streets. Where I come from with high tickets is like, so if you're listening, write this down. Less is more. So A is like, what's the dollar amount of the system that you're teaching? And B, how do you not get stuck in fulfillment of the offer, which leads to what? Burnout, hustle and grind. Because until I discovered high ticket, I was selling my sales expertise. I wrote Be a Better Sales Leader. I always have the book right here. I wrote the best-selling book, Be a Better Sales Leader, and I was monetizing my expertise as a sales consultant, 20 years climbing the corporate ladder.
Mhm.
But I was constantly stuck fulfilling the things I was selling. And then as a salesperson, I knew that the contracts were going to expire, the 3 months would come up. What would I do after? I needed to constantly keep my pipeline full. So like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, I was in implementation calls with my clients, back to back to back to back meetings. And then Thursday and Friday, I was prospecting new. And so if
Mm.
you don't stack your offer in the right way for the right reason, you too could get stuck. So it's a little bit about what you're charging and the confidence of that, where that comes from. And then it's also how do you execute the offer so that you're not stuck.
Yeah, that's so true. So obviously, well, we've been mixing a little bit in a way indirectly in the same community. And like it's an amazing place to be, right? So, but tell me a little bit. So I've seen some of your journey,
Yeah.
obviously. But let me tell me a bit about how you ended up there. How did you come across the high ticket idea? What you liked about it, and what actually clicked for you that you thought, oh, this is the way.
Yes. Good. Yeah. So April 17th, 2023, which now all of a sudden is almost 2 years ago, I
Right.
was I was let go from my corporate six-figure job. Like 30 of us one day. It was a mass execution. And that's the day I turned what happened to me into what happened for me by leaning into monetize my sales expertise. And that's important to reiterate because I did that from April to December of 2023.
Mhm.
One of my clients loved me so much. He offered me a job I couldn't say no to. And I was in the midst of an insane financial crisis, multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars of consumer debt mounting day by day because we had chosen to buy my grandparents' home 2,000 miles, miles, so all the way across the country,
Mhm.
and a full gut renovation without money in the bank. Like somebody say that doesn't sound very smart, Kristin. And I thought I could do a cash out refi using my W-2, using my full-time salary. And then when I lost my job in the middle of walls wide open, I had no choice. The problem was as I was monetizing, my minimum to live was so large, like 3 times larger than a normal family of 4. Plus, we were going through a divorce, plus, right? That
Mm.
I took this job working for somebody else because I thought maybe I should just put my ego aside. Maybe I should not pursue this entrepreneurial journey that feels so fulfilling, because what I was selling was like $5,000, right? 5,000 here, 5,000 a month there. And that adds up. It just wasn't enough because of my situation. And I know we're like, maybe you're on Spotify, maybe you're on Apple, maybe you're watching us, but like wave your hands at us if you've ever had this like situation, whether it was financial or not, that you're like, it's suffocating, right? And so fast forward then, luckily that job and I did not work out. And it was April of 2024. And that is when I stumbled into one of Eileen's 5-day challenges. And she brought somebody on stage who had just made $100,000 in one day, Adita. And I was like, what?
Right.
So while I was making a little bit more than that in a corporate, I'm like, okay, no, I can do the math, right? $100,000 in one day is more than most people ever make, no matter, let alone I was making like 20,000 a month
Mm.
hustling. And so
How did how did it make you feel? Like, okay, that's quite a number, right? 6 figures, like in one day. Did you
it's just,
feel intimidated by that at all? Or what was going on in your mind?
I wonder if most people do feel intimidated by that. So it's interesting. But for me, I felt inspired. So you like really was like, oh my gosh. Because I've
Yeah,
been there.
and the reason I'm asking, because back in the day, I remember when I was grinding, selling, I think it was a 27 bucks ebook as an affiliate. So I wasn't even making 27, per sale. But anyway, so I was doing, and I remember when I first came across the high ticket concept and the high ticket in that other place, from that other guru was 5,000. I'm like, oh, are you joking? Me? Who am I? Are you joking? 5K? So I imagine that for some people who are maybe just starting, hearing like it's either like don't be joking, right? Or it could be like, well, maybe for some people, but not for me, right? But you don't seem that you felt that way, right?
Yeah, I think it depends on where we come in at our entrepreneurial journey,
Mm,
because I had already spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on coaching and personal development. In fact, my husband at the
mm,
time, he's very, very, very supportive of me. That was not the reason why, marriage
yeah.
is dissolved for lots of reasons. That was not one of them. So when I bought a different mentorship that taught me how to monetize my expertise, he was like, again, Kristin, like again. But I made $108,000 from in 2023. Now that the listeners know my story, you can put on a timeline. 2023 is when I lost my job and started monetizing sales. I made $108,000 that year. But for me, unfortunately, because of decisions we made to invest in my grandparents' home and all the things, living in California and it wasn't $100,000 wasn't enough. And so I was already at the mindset space that when Eileen made us the offer that week, it's no, like, I was like, I walked across the street to pick up my kid from preschool, and I was like, like part of my brain, the left side of my brain was like, you can't do this. But my right side of the brain was like, you can't not do this.
Right, yes. And so, but also the one thing that you said, and I just want to highlight that, and for the listener, in case like you are thinking you have to go high ticket just like that, or be ready or whatever, it really does depend. What we want to avoid is the comparison or something. Oh, others are doing what is wrong with me? I don't want you to feel that way about this. It's what Kristen said, it depends on where you are at and how you come into this game. However, and I think we'll get to that. However, there are ways to get yourself ready to prep for this, right? So we'll probably get to that.
Yeah, we should, because it's
Yeah,
important,
yeah,
because it meets you where you are.
yeah.
Like my friend Kim that I met by being in all these communities, she sold a $300,000 offer. One offer, one day, one client, right? It's not about, it's inspiring to be in a room like that. The concept goes, how do you put yourself in a room of others, regardless of where you are today? Like, tap your chest and say, it's okay to be exactly where I am. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And then put yourself in community with others who are 1, 2, 3 steps ahead of you. That's how you are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with. That's how you change your circles. Like, I get the chills when I talk about this, because it is a constant evolution as humans that we need to lean in, lean out, lean in, lean out. Like, does this work? Does it not work? But the only constant in life is change. So if we're not
That's it.
constantly changing, that means we are dying.
That's it. And you touch on something else that is super important, being in the room with the right people. It's so important for all sorts of different reasons, right? First of all, I guess the nuances that you can't get anywhere else. You can't Google them. You can't find them on YouTube in the free videos. But also for me, more so now that I like, the nuances and whatever, I'm doing my own stuff and, and I think from a certain level, the energy, the energetical, the energy, the something there, the collective vibe that you get and you kind of feed from, right? How important is that for you, Kristen?
It's everything. You, I like, I mean, it is really, really everything. Eileen does a mastermind in the sky at 30,000 feet in a private airplane, mirrored after her mentor, Russell Brunson, who did the same. And it's not about what happens. Like, the mastermind is what you're flying literally somewhere for 2 hours, maybe. Let's say we went from Houston to San Diego, but it's and then we spent 2 days in San Diego continuing to mastermind. There were 7 of us on that airplane, and all 7 of us significantly moved the needle in our business, not only because of the strategies caught at that level with that small of a community, but really it was like, it's the momentum. Like, something happens, whether you're in a room of 30 people or 7 people or even 100 people, where everybody else is sharing strategies and learning how to take a system and put it in their business to move the needle.
Right. And just this one thing, that when you are grinding and hustling or just working at your desk and you are surrounded by other people who are not in the same game, not in the same boat, or some naysayers or some friends who you don't share your dreams with because they're going to say, are you crazy? And a completely different thing is being in those rooms where people are actually striving for the same things. Makes a
Amen.
huge difference,
It's
you know.
all
Yeah. And actually, for me, when I feel low some days, so it's not always possible to physically get in the room, but I watch something up that energizes me. I usually, I follow a few people, so I just go on YouTube and I just find some videos that lift me up. And that's how I actually bring myself back to that energy that I need to run my business, really.
well, because I've worked from, even in corporate, I started working from home in like 2008. So way pre-pandemic. And yes, I was a traveling salesperson, but nonetheless, like I like to tell people I can outwork anyone. I can sit here longer than anyone,
Same.
knock off that to-do list. I'm the girl, I am the say yes queen. It used to be dubbed the LFG queen, but we just changed it to make it more family friendly. So like the say yes queen, I'm coming out with a book, this say yes and figure it out, in fact. But like, so what's the system with that? I'll get it done. That's not what's going to take me on my path to freedom. And it
That's
wasn't until August of 2024. And so I'm going to tell you the thing in a minute about what changed for me, because I know you had asked that. And then I leaned into the system of selling high ticket offers and then put myself in the room and again and again and again. And then one of my clients actually set me free. You know Mel Robbins?
yeah, I do. I do.
Yeah, so she just came out with the let them theory. So for anybody who hasn't listened to that yet on Audible, I just binged listened to it on the airplane. I went on a trip last weekend and I got through almost the entire book. Like chapter 5 changed my life. Chapter 8, so good. I mean, all the chapters are so good. But I just, the idea is, how do you, me, you, all of us, how do we step back? Because it's not about working harder. It is about working smarter. So what does that mean? So often I
Exactly.
tell my clients, go on a walk. Like your job for the day is to go on a walk and use your imagination again, not sit at your desk and bust out your to-do list.
It's
Because
so scary for most people. How can I not sit at my laptop, typing something? I don't know what am I supposed to type, but
I
I
need to
need to be
move
typing something.
here. Yeah, and I was hustling so hard at my in the 2023 when I was monetizing sales. I, I was just like, how on earth? That's why when I met Eileen, it wasn't on accident. I had been thinking, how do I scale my business? $100,000 is great for most people. And now all of a sudden here she shows me somebody who made 100,000 in one day. I was like, what? How do I work smarter, not harder? And high ticket offers was for me the thing that changed my life. And now I get to change others.
Yeah, that is amazing. I totally know what you're talking about. It's super cool stuff. So maybe let's get to the meat of it. Oh, a little bit. So I can imagine a lot of people listening to this are thinking, how the hell do you create an offer that is like, you mentioned 300K. Okay, let's not go, we don't have to go to 300K, but let's say even let's say 25 or 50,000. How do you do that?
Yeah. So that's what so that's a great question because everyone wants to know, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I didn't realize, it'll be interesting if people agree with this or not. When I monetized sales expertise, I was selling myself. I wasn't implementing by doing call. I wasn't selling for the companies I had sold to. I was teaching them the strategy of selling, but it was still me. I had systems, I had frameworks. I won a Stevie Award in corporate. I won 2 Stevie Awards, and one of them was in corporate for creating a framework that I used to turn a catastrophic client around that then I used on new clients, and then I taught my team how to use this framework. But my left brain didn't connect to my right. When I started monetizing for myself, I didn't realize I needed a system. So write that down.
Mhm.
You need a system. And that was the difference. That was part of the difference as to why when I invested again in another
Yeah.
system to learn high ticket offers, I realized, oh, I can't be the system.
Yeah, and for somebody who thinks what is a system, so you might be calling it your method, you might be calling it your solution, your framework, something that has a, specific steps to
Yeah.
get your client from A to B. So that's what we are talking about.
Yes.
So that's one component. What else?
The big thing for me sitting in the room the day I leaned in to high ticket offers was permission to iterate. And it's funny because we don't need permission from other people, but most of us don't realize we need to take the permission ourselves. And so I was given permission to iterate my offer, because otherwise, what you'll do is when you are like me and if you're stuck, I work a lot with entrepreneurs who have started to monetize, but they're stuck. That's like a sweet spot for me, is like they're not making millions of dollars yet, but they have like, oh, they've put an e-course out. They've started their own version of a pay to play community. Like they've done something to start to monetize, but they're just like me and they were stuck. I was stuck both because fulfilling on the sales contracts wasn't fulfilling. It didn't bring me joy anymore. It was a lot of work. And also, I had created a pay to play community, but as much as I discounted it, as much as I tried to add more stuff into it, I was stuck. It stopped converting. And so now I teach how to create your first or next $25,000 offer or higher using my system. And so, yeah, it's a framework, a system, a method, like you said. And then it's strangely, it sounds funny to most of us, but it's permission to iterate. Because, like, how we launch today isn't going to be who we are tomorrow. The only thing constant in life is change. So unless I'm changing my offer, in fact, if I was still trying to monetize sales expertise, it would look super different. Now I tie sales. What else? The thing is, most entrepreneurs aren't. I don't have 20 years corporate sales experience, Kristin. So now
Mm,
I teach frameworks on how to cold sell anything in the DMs without being salesy or sleazy. I met you.
yeah.
I know we met already, like peripherally and such, but I also DM'd you to set this meeting up. Like, people, we don't realize that, like, we have to take responsibility for getting ourselves to where we want to go, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so there is this belief in the industry, obviously, that it's very hard to sell high ticket. And you hear all sorts of excuses. Let's be straight, oh, one of the most frequent ones I keep hearing is I want to help more people. So what do you have to say to that? I want to help more people there, and that's why my prices are low, right?
One thing Russell Brunson teaches is this concept of, until you are in a position to receive what somebody else is saying or selling, or until your clients are called to receive whatever you're saying or selling, three things have to be true. You have to overcome your internal beliefs, the beliefs you feel about yourself. I'm not good enough, or I can't, or I tried before, or. You need to overcome your external beliefs, the things that other people say about you, like, Kristin's the girl that just posts selfies, people have said to me. I don't, and then it gets in your head, and then it stops you in your tracks, and it makes you have imposter syndrome. This is facts, right? Or also your spouse or your friend or your sister or is like, well, we don't do that. So there's internal beliefs, external beliefs, and then there's the beliefs about the vehicle, the thing you're about to sell them. So until you can receive what somebody is saying, until you've overcome your own internal, external, and vehicle-based beliefs, and then we teach the strategies on how to help you
Yeah,
with your clients.
yeah, and I think that that is very important, remembering or even knowing, being aware that, because as you know that most people, one of the most common mistakes is that people, when they sell, they give so much information and they think they are providing value. Whereas really the value is actually helping people overcome their own limiting beliefs. That's where the actual value is. But for whatever reason, I don't know. I do not know why that happens. But and I've reviewed so many masterminds, events, and sales messages, and almost, I don't know, 95% probably, if not more. Information, 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 literally teaching the system or whatever they are doing, so.
Well, if you haven't listened to Adita's podcast episode on, was it practical marketing strategies? Is that what it's called? Do you remember that one?
Well, one of the recent ones, yeah.
Oh, yes. Listen to that. Like pause this, go back to that episode, and then come back here because yeah, I get it. Like we can't cover everything, and you've covered that, and it's so powerful. That episode of yours should go
Oh,
by.
cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad you liked it. So yeah, I mean, we probably could be talking about high ticket like forever. I don't know. It's for me at some point, years and years now, probably ago, high ticket was a huge discovery. And then the other thing was like, first I was like, oh my God, me? High ticket? Are you crazy? What are you talking about? But then somehow everything shifted very fast. Oh, okay, 10K, no problem. Right? I don't know what happened. I don't even know what happened. But anyway, what else do you think need to go into a high ticket offer? So your system, your solution, your method is one thing, but like this is the actual mechanism, right? How do you wrap it up, you know, to make it? Because let's be honest, like, many people could be selling a similar solution. And in fact, that's exactly the case in the industry,
Yeah.
right? Right? You could be selling a system, just the system itself, and sometimes you won't sell it as high ticket. So what do you need to do to make it high ticket?
That's a great question, Adita. So, and at the end, I have like a URL everybody can go to learn how to do it. But it's like, what do you avoid putting in it? And then what do you put in it to make sure that it's going to resonate? So, every offer, depending whether you're in the wealth niche, the health niche, or the relationship niche, every offer is going to look somewhat similar, but also somewhat different. And so it is the matter of the nuance. It's like showing up to one of my free master classes or looking at a bunch of resources, because we can talk about some stuff and we will right now, but it's like, how do you go deeper? And that's exactly where I was. I was like, well, hold on. I have a $5,000 offer that I was doing it for a year, wrong. I was offering all these things for free, wrong. I had all these things in my $5,000 offer that stopped converting. So all I want to do is inspire just one person listening that less is more. So write that down. Less is more. The least amount of things that you put in your offer, the faster and more it will convert. And I know it doesn't logically make sense for us. Like, at least to me, it does not make sense. But we teach how to anchor your offer in like 2 or 3 core things. we also teach how to use a lot of your like super ninja secret sauce that you already are trying to do, that you're already really good at, that to like use those things to over deliver in the offer. It's just because you sell it one way. The reason why I love to work with entrepreneurs who have invested a little bit in coaching, it doesn't have to have been, the day I lost my job, April 17th, it was a Monday. That Friday, I wired my mentors $20,000 for their mentorship. And
Mm.
it was such a great relationship that 100%, I spoke on their stages a lot and very factually said, I very much could have asked them for their money back because I was like, they're human. We're human. As a coach, like, are we willing to stay human and humble? Right. And I could have been like, yo, you guys, like, this is insane. I don't know how I'm gonna live. I need the money back. I didn't. I leaned in more. I won my first client the day I lost my job, the same day I lost my job, which put me massively into momentum. And so those are some of the ninja skills now I teach, is how to get into momentum and sell when you're not a salesperson. But it's like, what do you put in your offer? Is a system, less is more, keep it simple. And then how do you use some of these other things to over deliver? It's like,
I know, right? And I think a lot of people, when they hear over deliver,
oh, okay.
what you just said, and I think I used to be one of them back in the day. I was like, okay, what is that? Or does it mean more work?
Yeah.
Or does high ticket mean more work? I think a lot of people think, oh, you know what? Actually, I'm not sure I want high ticket. I'm gonna be grinding even more and doing more work, and I'll be hand holding all these people. And what do you have to say to that?
Yeah. I mean, I went from working 40 plus 50 hours a week as an entrepreneur to I work like 4 hours a day right now. It really is. This is why, if this concept is new, if you're listening and this concept is totally new, limiting beliefs, going back to some of Adita's older episodes, and also like binge consuming other content out there on what maybe some of your, or come to one of my upcoming master classes, because the idea is that it isn't harder to sell high ticket. It actually is easier. But the thing is, if you've bought, like, wave at me, even if you're listening, if you've bought another coaching program, whether it was $500 or $50,000, and did they fail to give you everything they promised? Most of the people who have already bought something have also bought something that it didn't exactly come all together the way they were promised. And there's another objection we're even already overcoming is, oh no, I've already invested in stuff. There's no way I can invest in something else. But we teach the system within the system, the thing behind the thing, is really understanding that your clients are buying the end result. They're not buying time. They don't
Yeah.
want a 12-month program. They don't want another college level educational certification, etc. So we teach you how to give them the result without spending all of your own time.
Yeah, and I think what is super important and what I'm noticing as a marketer, that so many people, so first of all, there is this issue in our industry that people are distracted from who they are, which is why they don't understand, they don't see the value of what they have, to offer. They don't think they have much to offer, so that's one thing. Then when they do kind of know, so I see these two different camps, some people are leading with them, me. Some people are leading with just offers. When everything gets combined, I think a lot of people, when those people who do know that they have something special to offer, they don't quite know how to translate that into the marketplace. And
Correct.
so they experience what I call sales value leak, you
Yeah.
know. So there is a level, so your passion and energy is so super important. That's no question. But then there is a level of strategy, like some level of knowing how to translate that value into the marketplace, right? And I guess people miss where that value gets generate, what actually generates that value in the marketplace. And so, and this actually might bite a little bit. I think this is what I've been thinking, for a while now, that a lot of people are expecting to build wealth, but they keep buying themselves cheap programs. And I'm not saying you need to buy like massively expensive programs, but when you think about it just logically, if you are expecting to create six-figure years or six-figure months or days, does it make sense to expect that from a program that is like 500 or
No.
even 2,000, right? It doesn't make sense. What are you getting in that kind of program? Are you getting that information or something, a strategy, how to become a millionaire? Well, I don't think so. Unless you
Yeah.
maybe grind for, I don't know, statistically, there is a chance, I guess you're gonna hit that number, right? But it's only normal to think if you want to go to a certain level, that's where you look for programs in that kind of world.
Yeah. Have you invested in a high ticket offer program? Because when you do, the transformation is in the transaction. So the simple act of investing in it is when you realize you're now worth creating one. You again, like whatever happens in the universe, like Eileen's wasn't the first one I had invested in. I have invested in lots of other ones, some of them a little bit more than that, which is why my husband would say, like, what are you doing? But I did start to make the second to last one work, and I've clearly made this one work because I've had my own near six-figure day, like very, very close to a six-figure day, just in 2024. So from May 2024 to December, I 3x'd what I did in 2023.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I've seen some of your journey. And what do you think, what else apart from what we already talked about is blocking people from going really like high ticket?
Let me give my 4-step framework right now, I think, for getting out of your own way, because I think that is what holds most people back is imposter syndrome, being stuck, having tried something before. So I created this system that will be in the book, Say Yes and Figure It Out. And I give it to all of my clients because we think that dopamine, that feel-good chemical in our brain that gets released when we eat some chocolate or accomplish a goal, we think that we'll only feel good about ourselves once we accomplish our goal. But neuroscience proves that it's, in fact, taking one little tiny step toward the goal that the dopamine starts to get.
Mm.
Like, I get chills just thinking that it isn't when the book comes out, it will be cool, but it's actually writing the outline, deciding the title, getting the first chapter, the third chapter written. And so the 4-step framework is the first step is to decide. So simply decide, what is your goal for the year, or microscopically, what is your goal for today? Right? Like, what is just your goal for today? Okay. Because in sales, I had to make, like, at times 100 phone calls a day. That is
Same.
hustle and grind. We had like 20,000 emails a month, hundreds of phone calls. It was banana pants. And so no matter what your goal is, okay, I just want to win one client. I want to have one system. I want to listen to 3 podcasts. Like, just make that decision. And then the very next thing to do is to take one little itty bitty tiny step. Because whether you're a sales veteran who is like, oh, cool, 100 phone calls. Or you're like, you just had the reaction you had where you're like, what? Nothing is going to get done until you make that first phone call. And make it easy. Like, let it be easy. Take that one very, very first step. And then do you want to know the thing you do immediately next? The third step is to lean in. So you like, okay, am I going to now create a competition? No, there's a lot of things out there that now say like, don't be in competition with others, like live in the gap, not the gain, or live in the gain, not the gap, which is another great book, The Gap and the Gain by, yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like in a sales environment, you're always in competition. Find somebody, a mentor, somebody else in an accountability group, somebody that you've met on a podcast. Find somebody to lean into. Maybe you're leaning in to ask for help. Maybe you're leaning in to do step number 4, which is celebrate. So it is simply decide, take a step, lean in, and celebrate. And the fourth step so often is the most important step. Because unless we're celebrating the fact that we did one phone call, we'll never get to 100. Like I created as a corporate leader, I was a culture leader. And so like we would sell multi-million-dollar language translation programs. I was in the translation industry for 20 years. But even though we were looking for the $500,000 contracts and larger, sometimes we'd find the $20,000 win or the $500 project. And I had my team celebrate the heck out of every single thing. Not all leaders would do that. That's not what we want. Go again, try harder. But if you in turn that into celebration, your brain releases dopamine. And so the goal is to repeat this 4-step cycle as many times a day or a month or a season as you need to.
Yeah, I know that's amazing and releases dopamine and you get addicted to it and you do more of it and you do more of it and you do more of it and you can't stop. And we all know that feeling and we all know that feeling in life situations, right? Like you said, chocolate for some people, for some, I don't know, coffee, whatever, wine, whatever it might be, celebration is super important. I'm so happy hearing that you have that, in your solution. Absolutely, most people, I think, skip those kind of things as not essential, right?
Nobody pauses to celebrate the big things, let alone the little things. Like it's a Monday afternoon, so let's celebrate. It's, a Saturday evening, let's celebrate. But it isn't in the world of I'm a salesperson making phone calls, it's a celebration and then it's right back to the next thing and the next thing. Sometimes you're in a period where you need to work a little harder, but the more you realize that your brain will be, this is what puts you into momentum. And that's when momentum
It's
snowballs.
and it's when you start feeling the pull. That's what's important. And when I talk about creating a business from freedom, those things are really, really important. So it's putting yourself in that vibe, in the high frequency. And even if there are seasons of more work, it doesn't need to feel like a grind or hard. You're just trying to complete a task that you love and it's exciting for you. And that makes all the difference in the world, So I'm all high ticket, and I mean, that's the way to go. And it's not, and I just want to make this clear. It's not just about raising your prices so you don't have to sell every day and potentially 1 or 2 sales a month, are enough for you. It's also about serving at the highest level. It's also about creating a lot of impact. We're not talking just if it's just for the sake of making cash, it's not worth it, right? And that way, and I want to reiterate that way, you are not gonna be able to sell high ticket either way, because this energy, this vibe, there's this impactful service, all of those things, need to go into high ticket and actually creating business from the place of freedom.
Yeah, it is all about the impact. It really, as a salesperson, I never knew what that meant. So I am like the first person to admit that working for somebody else, I didn't understand fulfillment as a result of impact. But now more than income, it really is impact. And when we anchor it in something bigger than ourselves, bigger than the gains that our family or the generational wealth type of thing, when we actually anchor it in what is the impact that this is having, it becomes way more fun. It's very service based, and then the money will follow.
Yes, and I like saying that selling is a social activity. So yes, it is hard to sell high tickets or raise your prices when you are not feeling that you are serving, that you are giving enough value for that price, because we are wired to want to contribute. And because selling is a social activity and it's exchange. So obviously, normal people, good people, people with integrity, of course, they don't want to feel like they're taking something off others, right?
Right.
We want to contribute. We are wired for that. And when you finally feel that, then you can actually go high ticket. But the good news is there is a way to unpack that. And I bet most people already have high ticket value inside of them.
Yes, we all do. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Just people just need to believe it.
Well, Malcolm Gladwell says you're an expert when you spend $10,000 doing, or 10,000 hours, excuse me, doing a craft. But we like to say that we've all been alive way longer than 10,000 hours because trust me, I've done the math. And so that is where the value of you're one of a kind. Like people, society here is like people buy from people they know, like, and trust. I like to say people buy from people who they know, like, and trust, and who differentiate. So it's like, how do you lean into something that's already selling? Like, where is their money already flowing? And then how do you bring your special expertise, your special sauce, all of the things that make you, my sales background, my say yes and figure it out attitude, and, concepts. How do I wrap that into teaching others how to sell high ticket offers? Just the way somebody else could teach how to lose weight using, everything that's already out there, but their one or two little nuances that make them them. You said that word earlier, nuance, and it really is. What is the nuance?
Okay, on that note, actually, so a lot of people that I work with, or when they look at their offers, and I talk to them about actually raising their prices, sometimes 3 times. They were like, whoa, 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 whoa. This coach of mine or this other person, this famous person, is already selling like something like that. I'm not like them. There's a huge difference between, them and me. What could you tell these people why they should not actually be doing this kind of comparison? Why it doesn't make sense?
Well, I mean, you'll feel like I laugh because there's so many. Well, first of all, like, most of us need money to eat and live and, like, go and enjoy life. So there will be more money, but you will feel so much more fulfilled by serving at a higher level. It's so much easier, and it's
And
complicated. Go ahead.
yeah, and also then I would add then, first of all, every single person is unique. So with their energy, with their words, with how they say things, how they express themselves, and comparison to someone else doesn't even make sense at all, right? Like somebody will resonate with you, somebody resonate with me. You know, we are all different. Also, I am 100% sure that each of us has something very, very unique to add on top of that same thing.
Yeah.
Two systems, two solutions can never be exactly the same, unless maybe somebody literally copy pasted. But even then, right, it's a different voice, different energy, right?
Yeah.
We are not encouraging to copy paste, obviously. But, you know, for somebody who thinks they're not there yet, you know, that's not the way to think about it.
Well, because having sold in the language, in you personally know the language translation industry, yes, because you don't live in the US and you speak probably multiple languages. Um, and so when we're talking to US based companies who are trying to go global for the first time, and we're educating them on the fact that no, it's not machines, despite even today, all of the AI and all of the advancements, it's still real humans doing translations. So you and I could both be native, but we could be identical twin sisters. Okay, so like that, just we're born in the same country, we natively speak the same
I
language.
have twin sisters, by the way.
Okay. Right. So they could be assigned a translation job where they're both experts in the field. So everything is the same. And then the voice, the tone, the nuance is still going to be different, despite when you're educating the clients on all the glossaries and term bases and all the things are the same. But because it's her voice versus her other voice, the translation will undoubtedly be
It's
different.
so interesting you're saying that, because my twin sisters, they both have different friends.
Yeah, right?
Like we all have some common friends, but they also have different friends. And that was the case in school when we were growing. That was always the case. You know, one was mixing with one bunch of friends and the other one was mixing with the other bunch of friends. And now they live in different countries, you
Yeah.
know. So even so, yeah, that's such a good example, right?
Yes. It's the differentiation. It's the everyone is different, and we should lean into that and celebrate it.
I think so. So I would like to encourage everyone to, like, at least be aware of going high ticket, because that's where everything starts, right? It's
Yeah.
where we pay attention. Yeah. So that's where everything starts. And I used to be scared of it. And then I realized, oh, that's not scary at all. You know, so that's really cool. And that is part of choosing freedom first for many reasons. First of all, you need to sell way less, and you don't need to grind like crazy every day on social and be on every platform in the world and chase the algorithm and learn how to do reels, and next day learn how to do, I don't know, whatever else tactics. I was never on TikTok.
Yeah.
I don't have an account on TikTok. I was not even interested in getting an account on TikTok. I never learned to do reels. I don't know what is there to learn. Like, you just go into, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Whatever. It's just those tech things that are not essential. What is essential is the way you surf, and that's how you go high ticket.
Yeah. It's not chasing, it's receiving.
Isn't it? Exactly, exactly. Yes. So that was fun.
That was so fun. Thank you so much for
That
having me.
was fun. That was insightful. Thank you for being here with me, chatting about this stuff dear and near to my heart. And thanks for being such a great example of, of doing that. So, yeah. And so because you've listened to some of my episodes, you know that I have blitz questions they ask every guest. Before that, I know you told us a lot, but if you want to add something, if you have something else to add about who you help and how you help them and where they can find you as well.
Well, I mean, thank you for having me here, for real. The best place, there's always so many places to send people. The best place to go right now is say yes to sevenfigures.com. Say yes to
The
sevenfigures.com.
name.
Yeah,
Mhm.
thank you. Because you will undoubtedly ultimately end up on my email list to then be informed of future masterclasses, online events, and
And who's that for? Like, I mean,
yeah. And so who I really serve is an entrepreneur who is struggling to go to the next level. Like, so many of us were stuck at 5 figures, whether it's 5 figures a month or just 5 figures in general. I have so many clients who are looking for their first $100,000 or their next $100,000 month, not necessarily entrepreneurs today who are already. I have different offers for entrepreneurs who need to break a different glass ceiling, right? Entrepreneurs who have a small team of setters and closers who have offers, but maybe they don't have that special nuance and that special secret sauce. I have different offers for them. But most people who are called to my voice right now, they are me, yeah, quote unquote, yesterday. So they're me when I was stuck with a $5,000 offer that stopped converting. And like, I get it. When you're in that headspace, you're like, how on earth would I sell high ticket if this low ticket thing isn't even working? And we teach, it's all about the nuance. So go to
yeah.
say seven figures.
Yeah,
And
I'll put the link in the show notes for sure. So the blitz questions. The first one is, when you hear from grind to grace, what goes through your mind?
yeah, burnout. But like, I honestly, the thing I'm in right now is rest and restore. How can you work less and restore your body and just like get out? That's what I think of as I think of this season I'm in right now, which I call rest and restore.
And that's very cool. Somebody said it takes guts to pause or to stop or something like that, and it does. But then when you see what insights you start getting when you actually do it, oh, priceless, isn't it? So, and it makes all the difference working from that place where you actually feel free,
Mhm.
in the flow.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is, what change would you like to see in the world?
That's such a big, broad question. I
I
love
know. What comes to your mind first?
passion. Compassion is, I learned from Tony Robbins, and maybe this is obvious to a lot of people, but that love is the number one, like we all chase all these other emotions, but like love is the number one emotion that makes the world go round. And to me, that's so synonymous with compassion, because sometimes we don't love at work, but we understand what compassion means at work. And so whether you're on an airplane and there's a kid screaming, not saying that this happened yesterday, just saying, right? Like compassion it transcends all. So I would love for us to tap back into our Mother Teresa selves and
Yeah,
passion.
I think, and it's interesting. I was watching a video with an interview with the Mind Valley
Mm,
founder,
I love him.
and I think he's saying compassion as well,
Okay.
as the overarching,
Yeah.
emotion. That is very useful for raising your frequency as well. So, yeah, very cool, very cool. And so the last one is what impact would you personally like to make on the world?
Oh, if I have the chills, so it's meant to be. If I could serve 1 million entrepreneurs, giving them the strategies, the tools, how my offers continue to iterate over the course of the years, that would be an incredible impact.
Wow, that's powerhouse. So I'm wishing you success and luck, in all of that. And thanks again for being here. It's been really cool. It's really nice chatting with you here. And so for the listener, I truly, truly, truly hope that you received a ton of value on this episode, and that what you got, the takeaway is that going high ticket is not that scary at all. That's what I want you to hear first, and then when you become aware of it, then your eyes are wide open. And so thanks very much for listening, and let's make this a mission. So please follow, please share this with whoever you think would benefit from this podcast, from this episode specifically as well. And thank you again, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye for now.